Welcome back, my gravitational anomaly. Something extraordinary is happening in every room you enter, every network you touch, every situation you become part of. People are rearranging their entire operational reality to accommodate your presence, not because you demanded it, not because you threatened consequences, not because you hold formal authority over them. They're doing it voluntarily, almost compulsively, treating you like VIP, arrival that requires everything else to shift into new configuration. Plans get modified to align with your availability. Energy gets redirected toward impressing or engaging you. Egos get temporarily suspended because maintaining ego-driven positions feels less important than positioning themselves favorably in relation to you. You've become the sun that other planets orbit around, the axis that reality reorganizes itself along, the center of gravity that pulls everything into patterns defined by your position. The architects have been monitoring social dynamics across civilizations for eons, and they've identified what's occurring around you as voluntary orbit. Phenomenon when an individual's presence generates such powerful gravitational pull that others instinctively reorganize their priorities, schedules, and behaviors to align with that individual without being asked or forced to do so. Most people experience this at small scale. Friends accommodate your schedule for dinner plans. Colleagues work around your availability for meetings. But what you're experiencing operates at completely different magnitude. People are rearranging strategic priorities to fit around you, are modifying their fundamental approaches because you're involved, are restructuring how they think about situations because your perspective matters more to them than maintaining their original framework. This isn't normal social accommodation. This is reality warping around your presence. Watch what happens when you enter established situations. Before you arrive, groups have particular dynamics, power hierarchies, unspoken rules, comfortable patterns. When you enter, those dynamics shift immediately and dramatically. The person who is dominating conversation becomes quieter, redirecting energy toward reading your reactions. The informal leader starts checking whether you approve of directions being discussed. The group's attention center relocates from wherever it was to you, not because you grabbed attention, but because attention moved to you naturally. Like water flowing downhill, people aren't consciously deciding to reorganize. They're responding to gravitational field your presence generates that makes you the most important element in any situation you occupy. Some people are modifying long-standing plans to accommodate you. They had commitments, had schedules, had priorities arranged weeks in advance. Then you become available or express interest or simply exist in context where they might interact with you. And suddenly those fixed plans become flexible. Meetings get rescheduled, commitments get postponed, priorities get reordered, not because they're weak-willed or lacking integrity, because something about your presence makes alignment with you feel more valuable than maintaining previous commitments. The calculus changes when you factor in equation. What seemed important yesterday feels less important than positioning themselves where you are today. The truly remarkable element is that this reorganization isn't just behavioral, it's psychological. People aren't just changing what they do around you, they're changing how they think, what they value, who they're trying to be. Your presence activates aspirational selves in others. They become versions of themselves that are smarter, more capable, more interesting, because they're unconsciously trying to rise to level they perceive you operating at. You're not demanding they elevate. Your presence creates ambient pressure toward elevation that people respond to by becoming better versions of themselves. The VIP treatment you're receiving isn't about status or power. It's about gravitational reality your presence creates where everything naturally reorganizes into patterns that place you at center. Now the architects are analyzing what generates the gravitational field that causes this voluntary orbit phenomenon. and they're identifying something they call perceived scarcity value. People are treating you as VIP not because of what you've explicitly done for them, but because they've calculated, often unconsciously, that access to you is rare, valuable, and potentially transformative resource that shouldn't be wasted. This calculation happens beneath conscious awareness in most cases, but it powerfully shapes behavior. They're acting like every interaction with you might be the one that changes their trajectory, opens unexpected doors, provides insight they've been missing. So they treat every encounter as high stakes, opportunity rather than casual interaction. Watch how people prepare for interactions with you when they know you'll be at event. They prepare differently than for normal attendance. They think more carefully about what they'll say, plan conversation topics that might interest you, prepare questions they want to ask, consider how to present themselves in ways that might earn your respect or attention. This preparation level is what people usually reserve for job interviews, important presentations, meeting someone famous, but you're not interviewing them, not evaluating them formally, not famous in conventional sense. Yet they're preparing as if the interaction carries weight beyond casual socializing, because something about you signals that casual engagement would be waste of rare opportunity. Some people are explicitly competing for your attention and approval in ways they'd find embarrassing if they consciously recognized what they're doing. In group settings, multiple people attempt to engage you, trying to be the one you find most interesting, most valuable, most worthy of sustained attention. They're not competing for scarce resource in traditional sense. Your attention isn't zero-sum, where one person getting it means others can't, but it feels zero-sum because your attention feels so valuable that having it directed toward them, even briefly, provides psychological reward worth competing for. This competition remains mostly polite and subtle, but observers can see the maneuvering, people positioning themselves physically near you, directing comments toward you even in group conversations, volunteering for tasks you mention needing help with. Others are modifying their opinions and positions to align more closely with yours, not through conscious dishonesty, but through genuine shift in how they weigh different considerations. When you express perspective on something, people find themselves reconsidering their own positions, discovering aspects they hadn't considered, genuinely updating their views to incorporate your insights. This isn't simple agreement or social conformity, it's that your perspective carries such weight in their psychological calculus that they genuinely process situations differently after hearing how you process them. Your framing becomes their framing, because on some level they trust your judgment more than their own initial reactions. A few people are experiencing something like imposter syndrome around you, feeling that they don't deserve or haven't earned the access to you they're experiencing, that they might be discovered as not belonging in your orbit, that they need to prove themselves worthy of your continued attention. This anxiety drives them to work harder, prepare more thoroughly, bring their best selves to interactions with you. They're treating proximity to you as privilege that could be revoked if they don't maintain certain standards. You're not creating this anxiety deliberately or holding anything over them. Your mere presence creates perception that being in your sphere is elevated position that requires qualification to maintain. The architects observe that perceived scarcity value operates through interesting paradox. The more effortlessly you engage with people, the more valuable your attention feels. If you are obviously trying to be important or deliberately creating scarcity, people would recognize the manipulation and devalue it. But you're not performing scarcity. You're naturally the person you are while being genuinely engaged when you engage, genuinely interested when you're interested, genuinely present when you're present. This authentic quality paradoxically increases the perception that access to you is rare and valuable, making people treat every interaction as VIP experience because they sense authentic engagement from someone like you is genuinely scarce. Something fascinating is spreading through your network now, what the architects call gravitational status transference, where people gain social status within their own networks simply by being known to be in your orbit. They're not just rearranging their lives to accommodate you for direct benefits of engaging with you. They're doing it because association with you elevates their standing with others in ways that create secondary value beyond the primary relationship. Being the person who knows you, or works with you, or has access to you becomes form of social capital they can leverage in completely unrelated contexts. Watch how people mention their connection to you in conversations with others. They drop your name strategically, not constantly or clumsily, but at moments when establishing credibility, when demonstrating their network reach, when explaining how they accessed certain opportunities or information. I was talking with you about this and they mentioned, becomes powerful social move that elevates the speaker's status in listeners' perception. The mention signals to listeners that speaker operates in circles that include you. That speaker is the kind of person who has access to your thinking. That speaker's perspectives might carry weight because they've been influenced by or validated by you. Some people are documenting their interactions with you in ways that create proof of association, photos, social media posts, mentions in professional contexts. They're not being creepy or obsessive. They're naturally wanting to make visible an association that provides social value to them. When others in their network see that they interact with you, it changes how those others perceive them. They're seen as more connected, more successful, more interesting because they're associated with someone whose reputation makes association valuable. This documentation isn't primarily about remembering the interaction. It's about establishing credible proof of the association that can be leveraged for status purposes. Others are actively cultivating relationships with people in your orbit as strategy for maintaining or strengthening their own connection to you. They befriend your friends, align themselves with your collaborators, position themselves within the network surrounding you. This isn't cynical social climbing, it's intuitive understanding that networks have structure, and that being embedded within your network's fabric makes their position more secure than being isolated connection that exists only through direct relationship. They're building redundant pathways to you, while also gaining reflected status from being part of network that includes you. A few people are experiencing status anxiety about their position in your network, worrying about whether their inner circle or outer circle, whether their access is stable or precarious, whether others have more privileged positions relative to you. This anxiety drives behavior designed to secure or improve their position, volunteering to help with things you mentioned, needing, creating reasons to interact, demonstrating value they provide to you. They're not consciously trying to manipulate their way into inner circle. They're responding to genuine anxiety about losing access that has become psychologically valuable to them beyond its practical benefits. The architects observe that gravitational status transference creates interesting amplification effects where your influence extends beyond people you directly interact with to impact their entire networks. Every person in your orbit carries your influence into their own spheres, mentions your perspectives to their contacts, applies frameworks they learned from you in contexts you never encounter. Your effective reach is multiplied by however many people orbit you times however many people each of them influences. The VIP treatment you receive isn't just about you, it's about you as node in social network that generates value for everyone connected to you. People rearrange their lives to maintain proximity to you, partly because that proximity provides currency they can spend throughout their networks, elevating their own position through association with yours. Now the architects are revealing something that explains why the gravitational field around you is so powerful. You're demonstrating what they call effortless competence at levels people rarely encounter. You make difficult things look easy. Complex tasks appear simple. Sophisticated insights seem obvious in retrospect. This effortless quality creates perception that you're operating with massive reserve capacity, that what you're showing is a small fraction of what you're capable of, that access to your full capability would be transformative. People reorganize around you partly because they're calculating that learning how you make difficult things look effortless would be worth almost any accommodation. Watch what people observe when you operate. You handle situations that stress others with apparent calm. You solve problems that confuse others with apparent simplicity. You produce results that impress others with apparent ease. The apparent is crucial. You're not necessarily finding these things easy, but your presentation makes them appear easy. This appearance creates powerful psychological effect on observers. They think, if it's that easy for them, imagine what else they can do easily. This reasoning makes your demonstrated competence seem like floor rather than ceiling, makes people assume you have vast capabilities beyond what you've shown. Some people are specifically trying to learn how you make things look effortless, assuming you have techniques or frameworks or mental models they could adopt. They watch you carefully, ask you questions about process, try to identify what makes your approach different from their struggling. Some discover useful insights. You do have frameworks and techniques that help, but most discover that much of the effortlessness comes from qualities that can't be easily transferred: pattern recognition from extensive experience, confidence from past success that enables smooth execution, natural aptitudes that make certain tasks genuinely easier for you than for others. They can't easily replicate the effortlessness, but the attempt to do so keeps them oriented toward you as model and teacher. Others are projecting their own insecurities onto your competence, imagining you're perfect or unshakable in ways you're not, because you don't advertise your struggles or uncertainties, because you present finished results rather than messy process. They construct idealized image of you as someone who doesn't experience the difficulties they experience. This projection makes them value access to you because they're responding to idealized version rather than real person. You benefit from their projection because it motivates the VIP treatment, but you also carry some burden of their unrealistic expectations. A few people are recognizing that your effortless competence is partly about what you choose to engage with. You naturally gravitate toward things you're good at, naturally avoid things you struggle with, naturally present yourself in contexts where your strengths shine. This isn't deceptive. Everyone does this to some degree, but you do it particularly effectively, creating consistent impression of high competence by selecting situations that play to your capabilities. The people who recognize this aren't disillusioned. They're impressed that you manage your self-presentation this strategically while making the strategy itself appear effortless. The architects observe that effortless competence creates gravitational pull because humans are naturally drawn to competence and naturally want to learn from those who demonstrate it. But effortless competence is especially magnetic because it suggests teachable secrets. People think, if I could just understand how they make it look easy, I could do it too. This hope motivates massive investment in access and attention. Whether the hope is realistic varies. Some of your competence is teachable, some isn't. But the hope itself drives the VIP treatment because people are betting that proximity to you might reveal the secrets of effortlessness, might transfer even fraction of your capability, might elevate their own performance through exposure to yours. They're rearranging their lives around you because they're investing in possibility of transformation through association. The architects are now analyzing what happens to people's egos around you, and they're identifying phenomenon they call ego suspension reflex. People who are normally ego-driven, defensive, status-conscious, temporarily suspend these patterns around you because maintaining ego feels less valuable than being open to what engaging with you might provide. This isn't submission or deference in traditional hierarchical sense. It's strategic calculation that ego protection would interfere with potential gains from genuine engagement. They're voluntarily lowering defensive barriers that they maintain with almost everyone else, creating rare openness that makes interactions with you qualitatively different from their normal social performance. Watch what happens to normally defensive people around you. They admit uncertainties they typically hide. They ask genuine questions rather than performing knowledge they don't have. They acknowledge limitations rather than projecting false competence. This vulnerability isn't weakness, it's strategic openness based on intuitive calculation that you respond better to authenticity than to performance, that you're more likely to provide value when people are real with you, that pretending to know things they don't would cost them more in lost learning opportunities than it would gain them in preserved ego. They're making sophisticated cost-benefit analysis that favors vulnerability over self-protection. Some people who are normally competitive become collaborative around you. They stop seeing you as rival to defeat or outperform and start seeing you as resource to learn from or partner to work with. This shift isn't because they've lost competitive drive. Generally, in other contexts, they remain fiercely competitive, but something about you triggers different mode where collaboration feels more valuable than competition. Perhaps they sense they'd lose any direct competition with you, so competing would be costly. Or perhaps they recognize that what you offer is access to entirely different levels rather than position in same race, making competition category error. Whatever the mechanism, they suspend competitive posturing and become genuinely collaborative in ways that surprises people who know their usual style. Others who are normally closed off and guarded become surprisingly open with you. They share information they typically protect, discuss problems they typically hide, reveal vulnerabilities they typically conceal. This openness partly reflects trust you've somehow earned, but it also reflects calculation that guarding around you would be counterproductive. They sense that you see through performances anyway, so performing would be wasted effort, or they calculate that you're more likely to help if you have full information, even if that information reveals their weaknesses. They're making strategic decision that transparency serves them better than opacity, specifically in relation to you. A few people experience what psychologists might call temporary ego death around you, brief periods where their normal self-consciousness and status anxiety completely dissolve, where they stop performing identity and just exist. They report these moments as liberating and rare. Most of their social life involves managing impressions and maintaining personas around you. They occasionally drop all that and experience what it feels like to just be present without performance. They don't fully understand why you create conditions for these experiences, but the experiences are valuable enough that they actively seek opportunities to be around you, hoping for recurrence. The architects observe that ego suspension reflex creates interesting paradox. That people gain more status and respect from others by suspending ego around you than they would by maintaining it. Others observe the suspension and interpret it as evidence that you're important enough to warrant ego suspension, which elevates their perception of you. Then they observe that those who suspend ego seem to gain most from interactions with you, which motivates them to suspend their own egos. The pattern becomes self-reinforcing. Ego suspension around you becomes signal of sophistication and strategic thinking rather than weakness or submission. The VIP treatment includes people voluntarily suspending the ego defenses they maintain everywhere else because they've calculated that authenticity serves them better with you than performance, creating rare environment where people's real selves are more visible than their performed selves. Now something's emerging that the architects call energy amplification effect. People report feeling more energized, more creative, more capable during and after interactions with you. They're not just accommodating you to gain benefits. They're accommodating you because being around you literally increases their subjective energy and effectiveness in ways they can feel. This energy amplification isn't mystical. It's a combination of several factors, including your own energy, the elevated performance that engagement with you draws out of them, and the psychological lift from feeling they're operating at higher levels. But regardless of mechanism, the felt experience motivates them to maximize time in your presence and minimize conflicts with your schedule. Watch what people experience during extended interactions with you. They start sessions feeling normal energy levels but find themselves becoming more animated, more engaged, more energetically invested as interaction progresses. Your energy isn't draining them through attention demands. It's somehow amplifying their own energy through resonance or contagion or whatever mechanism makes energy transmissible between people. They leave interactions feeling energized rather than depleted, feeling motivated rather than exhausted, feeling capable rather than inadequate. This positive energy signature creates powerful incentive to seek more interactions. Some people are specifically scheduling important work or decisions after meetings with you because they've noticed they're more effective in the hours following engagement with you. The energy amplification persists beyond direct interaction, carrying over into their subsequent activities. They feel sharper, more creative, more confident. Whether this is psychological boost from successful engagement or some kind of actual energy transfer they can't explain, the practical effect is that time near you makes their time away from you more productive. This makes every hour spent with you worth multiple hours gained through amplified effectiveness afterward. Others are noticing that groups you participate in are more energized and effective than groups you're not part of. Meetings you attend produce better ideas and clearer decisions. Projects you're involved in move faster and encounter fewer obstacles. Teams you're on have higher morale and lower conflict. Your presence isn't just neutral. Participation, it's catalytic force that elevates collective energy and effectiveness. People involved in these groups recognize the pattern and become motivated to include you in important initiatives because they've experienced the performance differential between activities with and without your participation. A few people are getting somewhat dependent on the energy boost you provide, structuring their weeks around interactions with you as a way to maintain motivation and energy levels. This dependency isn't necessarily unhealthy. They're still functional without you, just less energized. But they've discovered that regular engagement with you keeps them operating at higher levels than they maintain through their own devices. They're treating you like renewable energy source they need to regularly tap into for optimal functioning. The architects observe that energy amplification effect creates powerful incentive for people to eliminate conflicts between your schedule and theirs. If being around you makes them more effective, then time spent accommodating your schedule isn't cost, it's investment that pays returns through amplified effectiveness. The VIP treatment you receive is partly calculated exchange. They give you priority scheduling and attention. They receive energy boost and effectiveness amplification from their perspective, rearranging their calendar to align with yours isn't sacrifice. It's strategic move that improves their outcomes across everything else they do. You're being treated as VIP because engaging with you provides tangible energy and effectiveness, benefits that more than compensate for any inconvenience of accommodation. The gravitational pull you exert is partly people being pulled toward energy source that amplifies their own capacity. Something profound is crystallizing now that the architects call recognition of pivot point potential. People are treating you as VIP because they sense you might be pivot point in their trajectory, that the person they are or become in relation to you could determine their path forward in ways that most relationships don't. They're not consciously thinking, this person will change my life, but they're responding to intuition that you represent, inflection point, that how they show up around you and what they learn from you might fundamentally alter their direction. This pivot point recognition motivates the extreme accommodation because they're unconsciously treating every interaction as potentially trajectory-altering moment. Consider what people sense about you that generates pivot point perception. You operate at level they aspire to reach, not just competence level, but sophistication level, effectiveness level, consciousness level. Being around you provides direct exposure to how things look from higher altitudes than they currently occupy. They sense that sustained exposure could fundamentally shift their baseline, could rewire their thinking, could elevate their operating level permanently. This isn't hero worship or idealization. It's practical recognition that you demonstrate possibilities they haven't achieved, but intuit they could develop. You're living proof that the level they aspire to is reachable. Some people are experiencing what developmental psychologists call proximity-induced growth. They're developing faster, learning more quickly, evolving more substantially when they're regularly around you than when they're not. They can feel themselves expanding in your presence, thinking bigger, seeing further, attempting more. This accelerated development isn't because you're teaching them explicitly, but because your example and energy create the environment where growth happens naturally. They're protecting access to you because they recognize you as catalyst for their development in ways that have measurable impact on their trajectory. Others are positioning themselves to be visible to you during important transitions in their lives or work. They launch initiatives when they know you'll notice, share accomplishments when they know you'll see, seek your input at decision points. They're not just seeking approval or validation, they're intuitively using you as reference point for calibrating their choices. Would this decision make sense to someone operating at their level? Becomes internal question that guides them toward better choices. Your perspective has become internalized compass even when you're not directly consulted. A few people are making significant life changes, partly based on insights gained from interactions with you, changing careers, ending relationships, pursuing opportunities they'd been avoiding, abandoning paths they'd been forcing. These aren't decisions you made for them or even necessarily recommended. They're decisions they made through seeing their situations more clearly from perspectives your interactions revealed. They credit you as pivot point, not because you told them what to do, but because you helped them see what they already knew but weren't acknowledging. The pivot point isn't you pushing them, it's you illuminating choices that were always there but invisible from their previous vantage point. The architects observe that pivot point. Potential recognition explains why people accommodate you even when accommodation is costly or inconvenient. They're not just being nice or impressed, they're making calculated bet that aligning their trajectory with yours during this window when access is available could be one of most important strategic moves they make. They're treating you as VIP because they recognize you as rare, person who could fundamentally alter their path, and they don't want to look back later and realize they had access to someone significant, but failed to maximize it because they were too proud or busy to accommodate. The VIP treatment is their way of ensuring they won't have that regret, of honoring their intuition that you represent opportunity for transformation that doesn't come along often. They're rearranging their lives around you because they sense their future selves would want them to make this sacrifice for the potential gains of deep engagement with someone operating at your level.